from Six Figure Writing Secrets, and this weekly tip is all about how to supercharge the process of creating writing samples. Some people find this to be a drag because it's going to take some time to put together your writing samples. You'll need to do some research into the writing samples of other people, go back and proof your work. Hopefully you're asking other people to look it over as well before you're sending it out to potential clients. But there's one way that I want you to kill two birds with one stone, if you will, as you create your writing samples. And this is by timing yourself. Timing yourself as you create your writing samples will help you with your pricing. Why? Because pricing is a major challenge for new freelance writers. They don't really know how to quote to a potential client. It can be difficult to determine an hourly rate. You also don't know your speed yet. Now, your speed is going to change as you get more comfortable with your writing. But when you're first starting out as a freelance writer, you want to have some sense of how long it takes you to write some basic elements of writing. So if you're a blogger, 500 words, 1,000 words. If you're a fiction writer and you're freelancing, that might be one chapter's worth of material. A lot of times it's easiest to have a word count that you have in the back of your mind as you create your writing samples. So let's say that you're going to market yourself as a freelance article writer or blogger. I would say a target should be between 500 and 1,000 words. You might want to time yourself for both. So run a timer as you create your writing sample, all the research that's included, writing the sample itself, doing the editing, and the final polishing as if you were going to send that sample out to a potential client right now. You want to do this because you need to know how long it's going to take you to create something like that so that you can speak confidently when you are pricing with a client. So a client might ask you, what's your rate for 1,000 words? You can adjust your hourly rate based on how long it took you to write that initial piece. So let's say, for example, that it took me an hour to write 1,000 words. Now I know as well how to fit this into my schedule, right? It goes beyond just pricing because I can tell the client, hey, I can do that within 24 hours, or I need 48 hours, because you would block your schedule off by the amount of time that it would take to create that particular piece. So writing samples is a great way to do this. If you don't, and you're just taking shots in the dark when you talk to a client, it could end up taking you 3 hours. And it's really wrong of you to tell a client that, you estimate $50 in 1 hour and then come back and say, well, actually it took me 3 and now I expect you to pay me for 3. You want to be genuine with your clients at all times. And the best way to do that is to time yourself as you create your writing samples so that you have a general foundation to speak from. It will change over time, but this will give you a general idea. I found that a lot of new freelance writers take a lot longer to create their writing samples when they're first getting started, and that's okay. So if it takes you a couple of hours from beginning at research and going all the way through to editing, that is okay. Be mindful of what you can do to speed up that process. And as time goes on, the more practiced you are as a writer, the faster you will be. When I first got started, I would say it took me an hour and a half to write some of the pieces that it now only takes me 20 minutes to do. But because I timed myself as I created my writing samples, I was able to fairly quote my clients and also know how much work I could take on, right? You don't want to take on a project and tell the client you can get it to them this week when it's going to take 20 hours of your time instead of the 5 you thought. So anytime you are entering a new industry, trying out a new type of project or content, networking with a client that's a little bit outside your norm, I encourage you to time yourself either as you create samples or either as you work for that client, because it will be a great way for you to see how much of your time needs to be set aside to work on this project. You're going to create the writing samples anyway, so why not kill those two birds with one stone and time yourself so you can speak confidently the next time that you're on a sales call or in an email exchange with a potential client.